Growing up in the late 90s, early 2000s, you really had two options when it came to football boots. Something that was high quality, premium, soft kangaroo leather that was pretty much guaranteed to be really good every single time, or the synthetic boots that Nike and Adidas were putting out, especially the Mercurial series, that was extremely exciting and obviously very important for what football boots would become, but they were absolute blister machines. If you were smart, you'd go for the leather boots and avoid all the discomfort. Unfortunately, that wasn't me. What's going on, guys? Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of a pair of football boots that really take me back to my childhood, the Lotto Stadio 45. Made in Italy, kangaroo leather, exactly the same type of feel as those old school Lottos from the late 90s and early 2000s, bearing a retail price of 150 euros, which is not unreasonable to begin with, but if you click the link down below, you can actually get them for about 105 US dollars. These are the boots that I remember as a kid going to the store, trying on, thinking to myself, wow, these fit and feel amazing on my feet, but I'd rather have the plasticky Mercurials that are gonna make my feet bleed. Obviously, my tastes have changed and my priorities have changed when it comes to football boots, rightfully so. And I'm here to tell you that the Lotto Stadio 45, especially at $105, is probably the best value for money boot on the market right now that absolutely nobody knows about. So if you want to learn everything there is to know about the Lotto Stadio 45, please stick around, watch the entire video. And if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, I'll leave a little pop-up on screen, or you can click the link down below. That'll take you to the review page on my website where you'll find buy it now links where you can pick these up for about 105 US dollars in white as well as in black. So if you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. If you guys do end up enjoying this video and perhaps want to see more reviews of smaller football boot brands, please support this one with a like. And if you're new here watching for the first time and don't want to miss out on future content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button along with the little bell notification so you get notified when the next new video goes live. So obviously, as you'd expect with any boots, they do come in a box. It's actually pretty nice. It does have the Stadio 45 branding and it does specify that the boots are made in Italy. But when you open the box up, what was very surprising to me is that Lotto includes a string bag. So they definitely know what people want with their football boots, and it's pretty unheard of to get a string bag at this particular price point. And the quality is actually good. It's on par with the Nike bags. It's made out of the normal string bag material. Pretty plain as far as the design is concerned, in that it just has the Lotto logo and Stadio 45 branding. Kind of weird in that it has this top quarter bit made out of this translucent mesh, and it's a regular string bag that you can close up at the top. This getting a string bag score of 89.17 out of 108. Now, if you've never heard of Lotto, which is understandable if you're newer to football boots, this is a brand that has been around for a very long time. And believe it or not, this Italian-based company at one point was one of the most desirable brands of football boots on the market, really specializing in kangaroo leather boots. But even in the early 2000s, when synthetics were catching on, I really feel like Lotto had some of the best synthetic boots on the market at that time. Also in 2006, they were responsible for the world's first laceless football boot in the form of the Lotto Zero Gravity. It was not very successful, but obviously 10 years later, when Adidas did it on the A16 Plus Pure Control, it caught on as a major trend in the industry. Technically, Lotto did that first. However, the boots that I'm holding here in my hands are the Stadio model, which is probably the most important one for the Lotto brand. It's basically their Nike Tiempo, where they maintain the classic kangaroo leather and they just tweak the design over the years, this being the latest model. And the one thing you have to note about Lotto and their kangaroo leather boots is the way they do leather is so unique to them. And that's why these remind me so much of my childhood, because this leather is super soft, it's super flexible, it feels incredible on your feet, like a soft leather sock basically, but it's also remarkably thin. It doesn't have the bulkiness or the padded sensation, the overly padded sensation, I should say, of a lot of kangaroo leather boots. So if you've worn Lotto boots in the past, you know exactly what to expect here. And considering how amazing the quality is, it's hard to believe that these are only $105. Now, obviously the design of this boot is pretty no nonsense. I would compare it more closely to something like a Nike Premier 2 rather than a Copa Mundial in regards to how it fits and feels, because it's not an overly bulky boot by any means at all. The amount of kangaroo leather you get basically spans the backside of the Lotto symbol, goes all the way through the midfoot, forefoot area, then cuts off at the same point here on the medial side. Very simple as far as how the leather is reinforced with a simple stitching pattern. It has a pretty regular nylon liner, and like I said, it just feels like a traditional leather Lotto boot, which is a very good thing. The laces run directly down the middle, and the laces themselves are kind of a little bit weird, but we'll take care of that later in the video. It does have a synthetic tongue with a little memory foam insert, although it's very, very soft and feels quite good, all things considered. Technically, you could kind of fold this over, and it does say made in Italy, although I would personally just recommend leaving it like that because it's not exactly long enough. They basically just added this extension piece for whatever reason. And then, of course, the boots do have a standard low-cut design, with the rear construction of the boot being made out of a synthetic material, which is perfectly fine in my opinion. You can see the Lotto branding there twice on the heel. It's got an internal plastic heel counter, and the liner on the inside is pretty straightforward, just being a pretty regular synthetic leather material. I think a synthetic suede maybe would have been a little bit nicer, but I have no issues with what they've done here. The insoles are also fully removable, which is always nice to see. It features a mesh liner on top, and it's made from a single layer of this black foam with a little layer of this blue foam kind of glued in the heel for some extra padding. It's not particularly straight here on the left insole, but it still gets the job done, and they're decent insoles overall. Moving on to the sole plate and stud pattern, it is classic Lotto. Obviously a very simple layout, just a TPU plastic sole plate with good thickness to it. So for hard ground, I would say that this is actually going to be a very solid option, but it's going to work great on firm ground as well. And you'll also notice that there is nylon stitching all the way through the forefoot and toe box area, attaching the Kangaroo leather upper to the sole plate itself. So from a durability and quality standpoint, it's going to be very difficult to beat something like this, especially considering the $105 price point. The only thing I'd say that's going to come close is something from Mizuno in their made in Japan category, which is obviously going to be 3 times as expensive as these. As far as the stud pattern is concerned, this is their firm ground stud pattern. That's pretty straightforward in terms of overall layout, kind of Copa Mundial-esque you could say, but at the same time, the studs themselves are more modern in shape in that they're quite long and actually have a fairly narrow profile. So the traction is more aggressive than you might expect it to be, but at the same time, expect a more traditional feel. Now, when it comes to weight, the Stadio 45, unsurprisingly, isn't mind-blowingly light, but they're not heavy either. For me, this is actually the perfect weight for this style of football boot. So in a size 9.5 US, you'll see that the Stadio 45 weighs in at about 9.4 to 9.5 ounces, which is obviously not super lightweight by today's standards when it comes to modern football boots. If you wanted something like a Nike Premier 2, that's going to be about a full ounce lighter, which will be noticeable on feet, but from a quality perspective, it just doesn't have the same feel as the Stadio 45. So again, if you're looking for that classic Lotto feel, I don't think you're going to have any issues with the weight. And while this has nothing to do with performance, I figured I'd share my opinion on the looks because I think that these look incredible. I love the colorway, either the white ones or the black ones, but this neon green Lotto symbol, this color in general, was a very popular color for Lotto to use as an accent on their boots back when I was growing up. So it really does remind me of the good old days from that perspective. I think the sole plate with this fade design and the Stadio branding looks very, very cool. And it's just such a clean design. It has that old school vibe to it, but at the same time, it looks fairly sleek and modern as well. If I saw somebody wearing Stadio 45s out on the pitch, I would probably walk up to them and try to be their friend. So I've swapped out the stock laces that are kind of a little bit weird in terms of look as well as overall material for some wide green reflective SR4U replacement laces, which typically on this style of boot, given the colorway, I'd probably just stick with all white, but this green is kind of a signature of the Lotto brand, so I figured it kind of suited the colorway quite nicely. So if you are interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, just to change up the style of your boots in a very inexpensive way, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. There'll be a little pop-up on screen as well as a link down below. So if you're interested in a pair, be sure to go ahead and check that out. On feet, the Stadio 45s remind me so much of the Lottos that I tried on as a kid. The leather is super soft, but it's also remarkably thin. It really doesn't feel like any other leather boots that you can buy. The wrap on your foot is very nice as well, although the overall shape of the boot is fairly wide. So if you do have wide feet, I think these are going to fit you quite nicely. The cut in the heel is really good. The lockdown is great. It's definitely not going to be the most responsive boot in the world, but I think that is to be expected with this style of football boot. The Soleplate has good flexibility to it, but at the same time feels nice and solid. And really my only complaint is that little extra piece of foam they kind of glue on the heel area of the insole. It needs to compress a little bit. So for the first couple of wears, you really feel that specific added piece of material, which is slightly uncomfortable depending on the specific shape of your feet. So the insole's not the greatest, but everything else I really do like the fit and feel of. As far as the overall width is concerned, like I said, they're fairly wide and it kind of just has that classic Lotto shape, but at the same time, they're not bulky by any means. If you had really narrow feet, maybe not a great option, but for everyone else, you shouldn't have any issues at all. And as far as sizing is concerned, I'm wearing these in my usual size 9.5 US, and the fit and the length is perfect. So if you are looking to order a pair for yourself, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. So in conclusion, I absolutely love the Stadio 45. This is a pair of boots that you could give me to wear for the rest of the season, the rest of my life, honestly, and I'd be perfectly happy about it. And I think what's so special about it is it has such a distinctive fit and feel about it. Nothing feels like the Kangaroo leather on a pair of Lotto Stadios, just like nothing feels quite like a Copa Mundial, or nothing feels quite like a Nike Mercurial. There's something about certain football boots that you can only get if you buy that one boot. And these Lottos, like I said, remind me so much of classic Lotto models. They remind me so much of my childhood, and they really are that good from a quality and feel perspective. And for $105, if you're on the market for a great pair of leather boots and you want to be a little bit unique, Lotto Stadio 45, look no further. Anyways, guys, that's it for my review. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, please support it with a like. Again, if you're interested in a pair of these for yourself, multiple colorway options available. First link down below, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions regarding the Stadio 45 or the Lotto brand in general, leave it down below in the comments and I'll do my best to get an answer out to you as soon as I possibly can. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked down below in the description as well. And other than that, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.